Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you living, brother
Good,
Montell Allen?
good, good. Glad to be on, Mr. Hicks. Glad to be on.
Man, we team no sleep. Team no sleep. It's January 24th. It's been a busy week from the sports perspective, man. So I think we got some things that we want to talk about.
Yeah, man, there's a lot going on in the sports world right now. Some good, some bad, some, we just got to address and keep it moving, man. You know how that goes.
Look at you already bringing us some controversy in terms of what's going on in the world. But yeah, you're right. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start off by saying we lost a lot of folks, actually, unfortunately, this week. And from the sports world, we lost Hank Aaron,
Hmm.
which is definitely a loss, not just for sports, not just for the game of baseball, but I mean, just the man was a humanitarian. He's a great man, right?
Yeah.
I I got to see some of his old stuff a lot of times, and just watch how he had the impact on folks like President Obama, right? I mean,
Hmm.
President Obama used to have a signed bat from him in the Oval Office with him. So yeah, rest in peace to Hammer and Hank there.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think that he's our Babe Ruth. He's the
Yeah,
African Americans' Babe Ruth. He was the last man from the Negro leagues to be able to cross over to the major leagues that was still alive
hmm
and still doing this thing. I think that like you said, a great humanitarian, great for the sport of baseball, great ambassador for not for baseball as well as African Americans within that field. He was a pillar in the community in Atlanta.
Yep.
He just did so much. He did so much with his life and did so much for the sport. He's going to be sorely missed. He was an advocate. Definitely for young guys playing baseball, especially young African Americans.
Yeah.
And I'm stressing on the African American because he wasn't just a strong representative in our culture. I don't really follow baseball very much, but I know who Hank Aaron is. I
Yeah.
know the accomplishments he's done. I know what he stood for. So, we just lost a good one, man. I mean, he was a guy that I'm sure the people that knew him were very blessed to know him, and for us to know about him, you know, I'm just honored that he, to be
Yeah.
to be able to witness a little bit of what he's done.
Yeah, his name and his legacy, smashing that Babe Ruth record against all odds, and having so many folks not wanting him to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the
Hmm.
pressures that he went to were more overt than they are covert today, right? So
Yep.
he was literally getting the hateful letters and the death threats and the things like that. Don't go out there and hit that ball because we're gonna come after you. And
Mm-hmm.
persevered. He went out there and he smashed it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the images of when he hit that home run, 755, and those two guys chasing him around the base.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That
That's like,
that one is in everyone's head. Everyone knows that moment, where they were, or if they've seen that, even if you're not
which
necessarily a
the
sport.
beauty of that though. The beauty of that, there's no color line in that.
Yeah,
Those
it was
that's
it was
just
two white dudes that were
yeah,
following.
it's true. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there's no
yeah,
color line. I was just like, they're enthusiastic fans ran onto the field to celebrate with him, and he wasn't pushing them away or doing anything. He celebrated with them. I'm quite sure the dangers of sports of fans doing that, but I mean, they were just celebrating together, man. I think that's the most beautiful thing in sports and in competition as well. People want to celebrate
yeah.
success, and that man was successful at what he did.
That's
And
true.
like I said, he's just an ambassador, man. I mean, he's us in the African American community, we just losing a lot of leaders, and he was a leader, another leader that we lost, unfortunately, due to this COVID.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. So due to
Mm,
COVID, unfortunately, I mean that's
yeah,
horrible. Outside of the sports world, I think
yeah,
24 hours before or after we lost Hank, we lost Larry King, right?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, just
yeah,
again, just
yeah.
folks that are out there that many people know, and again, we're losing them unfortunately in
Yeah.
relation to this
Mm.
pandemic. So
Yeah. And let me clarify, James, real quick. I don't think he died of the actual, I mean, of the COVID, but I know he took the vaccine and he had
mhm,
some complications to that due to his age and whatever his health concern. So let me clarify that. But I mean, it is again due to if we didn't have the pandemic, he wouldn't have got the vaccine. It
exactly.
would have been a no show. So due to the, I should say, we lost another one due to this COVID climate of
That's what.
what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Why he passed away? Because I don't want to be misinformed. But and then we lost Larry King, also the complications to after he dealt with the COVID virus as
mhm,
well. Legendary commentator, news anchor person, media juggernaut, Man's interviewed everybody, from Hank Aaron
Everybody,
to everybody across,
everybody.
across the world, man. And he was just a really pillar in, I think, in the changing of the guard of the media, from radio to TV to now the internet to now streaming podcasts and stuff like we're doing. The guy was he was an unbelievable man as well.
He was. He was. It was sad that day. So WWE lost Hank Aaron. I think that was 1 year to the day that we lost
Yeah.
Kobe.
Yes.
So man, January is tough.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah. So and it was telling to see kind of the Lakers, and obviously this makes sense. Are still dealing with the mental trauma of losing someone like Kobe Bryant. As they still go
Yeah.
on and try to live up to the legacy, try to live up to the mastery of the game, of the community, and things like that. So to hearing AD and LeBron talking about, it still haunts him to this day, which obviously makes sense, right? When you lose someone like
Yeah. I mean, I think it haunts anybody that's a basketball fan.
yeah,
I mean, a person that did everything right. He did everything right as far as competing on the court, his mentality, the way he won, he celebrated. The way he lost, he hated it.
yeah,
And he relished in that. He relished in every moment he had to be successful. And then even when he was transforming from off the court to back to regular life, I should say, or post basketball, he was the ideal family man. He always had his daughter at the games,
yeah.
instructing her and doing those things, and doing, he was getting into the movies and he was just doing the right thing, man, that you're supposed to do as a community leader and as a guy that's kind of made it and successful and wants to give back. I mean, Kobe's just, man, that guy. I hated him when he played because he used to kill the Kings and he used to kill the Warriors and he killed those guys. But I learned so much to appreciate him so much after the game, and was rooting for him when he scored the 61 against Utah, and was rooting for him on the tail of his career because, man, that dude was that guy, man. I mean, I know everybody wants to credit LeBron, and I don't want to get into the argument who's the GOAT and all that stuff. But to me, Michael Jordan's number one.
Yeah.
And Kobe's right there at 1A. I don't even know if he's 2, but he's 1A.
Yeah.
Right there as far as what the game of basketball meant to me.
That's true. Now let me ask you about this, and you kind of touched on something that I want to ask you, because you tend to work with, again, the youth more and around direct athletics. It's from the school perspective. Is there anyone out there right now who's kind of stepping up to the plate and kind of trying to, maybe they can't fill those shoes, but do you see anyone in the sports world who is trying to carry that torch, right? Trying to be that leader, that advocate. Let's
Yeah.
we know LeBron, right? He is what he is. He's the brand guy. He's this, he's that. He's all of those things. But let's just stick to basketball for right now. Do you see anyone else, really stepping up to the plate and saying, you know what, I want to be the one that you look towards as kind of the mentor, as the leader, as the example of clean sportsmanship, good sportsmanship, that true work ethic. You know what I'm saying?
I think LeBron is, and I'll support my point on it. I think LeBron, as much as a basketball, let's say his basketball IQ and all stuff on the court, that's great. He's a great basketball player. We already know that he's one of the best. His off the court things that he does with the scholarships and building the schools and always donating and leading in the voter registration and doing those types of things. LeBron is really trying to step up to be that leader. I think it's so difficult in this position because people hate greatness. They do. They just hate on greatness. They want to oppose it. And I think fanatics get so caught up in just a sport, they don't look at the other side. I'm not a big fan of LeBron on the court. He plays for the team I don't like. I don't like the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
But remove that Lakers stuff and all the stuff he does for humanitarian and stuff he does, man, the dude is far beyond, to me, Jordan in that retrospect. He does so much for the community and gives so much back. I mean, I remember, and I'll tell you a quick story. I remember me and my son got a pleasure to go to the championship. We got to go to the Warriors playing against Cleveland. We were there in the stands, and we happened to be sitting next to a couple that was from Cleveland. And we were just, we were cheering for the Warriors. He was cheering for Cleveland. And she was like, oh, my goodness. And they had brought up about, hey, LeBron's giving scholarships to all the kids in Akron. And she was actually a teacher from there.
Okay.
And she was like, before this went public, she was like, I don't know if you know this, but LeBron pays for all of them to go to college. And I was like, really? She goes, yeah. She goes to school of something like 560 kids that are in the school. He has a fund that pays for all of them to go to college, and he pays all the teachers extra on top of their salary bonuses.
Wow.
I was like, really? She was like, yes. She was a teacher. I don't know. Her and her husband were both there at the game, a guest of him. We were sitting right by Chris Broussard that was above us, and Chauncey Billups. We're right there. We had got some really good seats from a good friend of mine. He wasn't able to go. So we were sitting there, man. And this lady, she was telling, she's like, I don't think people realize how much he does for Akron and for the place of for the city of Cleveland. He really gives a lot. I mean, so that right there, man, that tells a lot of his character and who he has. Let's also remember, LeBron hasn't been in any trouble as far as legals that we know of. It doesn't look like he has any kids outside of his wedding, so he's not out there running around.
Hey, that's truth right there. I mean, yeah. You say that kind of easy, but that's real, and that's reality, right? Especially when high profile, black
high profile athletes, he takes his craft very, very serious. He's very passionate about his craft.
Yeah.
He's never defaced or shamed any of the organizations he's been about. And the fact that he stands up for what he stands and loses his platform to express his political awareness, his political stand on things, and making people aware. The man to me right there, that to me what makes him a GOAT. Basketball wise, I'm a Michael Jordan fan on the court. On the court, he's not the GOAT to me. Off the court, he's probably the GOAT. He's probably the best athlete that does that next to Jim Brown. To me, in my eyes, next to Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali. Those are the other two that really lately to use their platform. But LeBron does that, man, and I applaud him so much for that kind of for the things that he does on that retrospect. And I think people don't give him enough credit in that retrospect.
And I think it's interesting though that we now start talking about athletes and their platform, right? We never talked about that before the dawn of social media, before Facebook and Twitter and all these all of this, before the athletes were also a brand themselves, right? It was just shoe deals. It was just a deal with Reebok or Nike or whatever the case may be. But now, again, we're talking about the types of things of what they do outside of the sport. And so much of the culture, so much of the youth, I think, are looking to the athlete for how they feel on certain issues. Right.
Well, we got to rewind it back. So like our time, we had African-American leaders or cultural leaders that were in our community. We were post era of the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X era. We're right after that. They still had community leaders that were involved. I think this era, as things kind of got better, they kind of went away, and now they don't have that. So I think pre-Kaepernick, there was nothing there. It was just sports and people kind of live. Post-Kaepernick, it's really important for you to utilize your platform to express what's right, because now we're seeing, and now they're seeing, and now the world is seeing Kaepernick was right. It's okay to bring social awareness of something that was wrong, which is injustice, which is police brutality done on people of color in these urban communities. He was right to say that. The NFL even has something that they subtly admit they were wrong about what they done by not acknowledging and doing that. Now, do we agree him taking a knee or not? That's for each individual to decide. But the thing is, he did bring awareness. He brought it to the light. We saw the ramifications that does happen with police brutality in some of these communities by the deaths of some of these people, the deaths of the George Floyds and so on and so on.
Right.
And now I think athletes are saying, you know what, I need to use my platform to address some issues as well. And we need to all jump on board. And I think it just unifies us. I know there's people out there that hate it and doesn't like it, but no matter what, you're thinking about it. Either consciously or subconsciously, you're thinking about it. And that's the most important thing.
That's that's kind of the goal I was trying to get to, right? I mean, I think it's a great thing. I honestly wish more folks in influential positions and places they got a lot of eyes on them would actually speak up and be more vocal. So shouts out and props to the ones that are doing that, taking advantage of their platform, helping others along the way. I mean, I knew LeBron was paying for those kids' college, but I didn't know he was hooking up the teachers too. I mean, just those kinds of things, right? And doing it without asking or wanting it to necessarily be publicized, just doing it because that's what he's doing, right? Good human being, good person, those kind of things. So
absolutely. Giving back to his community, man. Shout out to LeBron, man. That dude is, I don't know. Like I said, on the basketball court, he's a guy I'm rooting against because I don't want him to win because he's so good. But he's in the same retrospect, man. When as soon as he takes off those shoes and puts on that business suit, I'm his
Yeah,
biggest fan. I'm one of
yeah,
his biggest fans.
yeah. I love it. So let's see here. Well, I was gonna say some of the gear he wears. I can't rock some of the gear he's wearing though. Look, I mean, he wearing them medium sometimes, but I need a little more
Hey, hey, man,
comfort in my
he better than Westbrook and some of the other cats. So I'm all good with him. He cool. He cool with me.
and Cam Newton and his hat.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah,
Like
some of them
Cam and
cats
them
is
hats. I
wild.
love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. Let's switch sports right quick and talk about some more uh, things that happened this week that we did not expect.
Hmm.
Your boy McGregor stepped into the ring, talking a lot. Look, McGregor is the greatest showman uh, and draw for UFC that
MMA.
there ever was.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. So
yeah.
anytime he opens his mouth, there's cameras and there's people just wondering what he's gonna say, what he's gonna do. He said I was gonna knock this boy out in the second round. Nah, bruh. Nah, bro. 180
Whew.
degrees. You got you. I should fire up the line from Friday because you got
Man,
knocked out in the second round.
man.
Man, talk about that, man.
Yeah, man. I'm not a big MMA fan. I don't normally watch MMA. I'm not a big follower. Not that I'm not a big fan of the sport. I haven't really gotten to it yet because I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
But McGregor, I got a chance to watch the fight. First round, let me take you through what I was. The first round,
Uh,
McGregor was on dude. He was knocking him. It looked like he was timing him with his boxing punches. It looks like I thought he was going to be able to catch the dude with an overhand left because the guy kept leaving himself open when he kept kicking him to the thigh. And then it gets a break. It goes to the second round. McGregor's kind of doing the same thing. It looks like he's about to tee him up. And old boy caught him with with a, I don't know, with a right hand, and McGregor's chin looked like Roy Jones Jr. at the end of his career. Man, brother, man just went. He didn't knock him out. He put him to sleep.
put him down. Put him down.
And the
That
fact
was
of the
great.
matter that he was talking all that, and I don't mind, that's part of the showmanship to kind
Yeah.
of hype the
Yeah.
fight up. That's great, but I think really they need to start looking on as far as health reasons for him, because you can't take that kind of blows with those kind of gloves and can sustain longevity in playing. I mean, in that kind of boxing, because we saw it with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Telling his career, he starts getting. We saw it with Mike Tyson. He
Yeah.
started getting hit in that chin.
Yep.
You start going down. You saw with Roy Jones Jr. As they get older, as guys get older, they're not able to sustain, and I think it starts to become dangerous at that point
Yeah,
for
well,
them.
you put a whole nother element in it too, right? When UFC, when you got them out there, they're
Yeah,
not kicking, right? Now they're actually kneeing folks, and
knee and elbows in
right,
the face, man. So
there's
yeah,
no holds bar when they're
yeah,
out there, and you're right. But the challenge with that McGregor is that draw that I was saying, and you know what? If he wants to
yeah.
come back at any time, the sport is going to let him come back. But you're right,
See,
from a safety perspective,
yeah,
someone needs to look out for him. He needs to have someone
see,
around him saying, "Hey, brother, you need to ease up."
and like you just said, I have a problem. I know he's the big draw. I know, and I know he's the money man and he's the bag man, but that needs to transcend to someone else. MMA and UFC needs to start putting that money to someone else to make them the bigger draw. It's all about who you hype up. Let's be real. Ronda Rousey, she was the hype
Yeah,
machine for a while
yeah.
until she got knocked out.
And she
You
got
know, she
knocked out,
got
and then
yeah,
she
she
started
got
acting. She was on. She
she
was
said,
on one
"I'm
of our
out.
favorite
I'm
shows.
going. I'm not doing this no more." Yeah,
She went
she
on
got her
TV
bag and said, "I'm out."
911.
And so I mean, I think that's not a Conor McGregor thing. That's who you want to put the hype machine and the money behind thing to be successful and to carry the torch, as they say in the next sport. I really do, man. I think for his safety, though. I mean, I know the ref got in there really early, but I don't know if people watched it right after, but he couldn't get up. I mean, he really. I mean, he was
Yeah,
out, and
yeah,
since he was out like that, coupled with all the previous blows he had before, and now he's lost with two of his last three fights,
yes,
pretty bad. Man, now it's like, okay, now it's not about a money thing. It's like, UFC, do you want a lawsuit in your hand by this man actually having permanent brain damage, or him actually being permanently hurt on just to get some ratings? I mean, at
yeah.
some point, we as fans got to draw the line as our well selves and be like, hey, man, you know what, that's getting a little bit too much to have this person fight. You know, getting there and fight. It's not worth. Me personally, I don't think it's worth it.
No, I actually completely agree with you. I did not see the fight. I didn't buy it, but watched the highlights and I'll watch the replays of it and all. But I agree. You know, I do listen when I hear him talking because it's always comedy, right? It's
Hmm.
always entertaining to hear whatever madness McGregor is talking about. And then when he got out there, got knocked down again, this the second fight in a row is just, and to hear how brutally it was, right? Again,
Hmm.
just to get knocked down and so fast and then so hard. You're right. Something needs to happen, but I think that's a long time coming because again, the popularity of the sport, the popularity of the persons that we're talking about as well. They're going to give him another million or so dollars to come back again next year or in another
Yeah,
8 months
but
and
but see,
do it
at
again.
this point now, we're paying just to see him get his ass whooped.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not for him to win or him to be competitive. It's we're going to be watching him to get his ass whooped. That's going to be the kind of thing we want to hear him talk crap, hear him
mm,
go out there, and then they want to see this older man get his ass whooped by a younger guy and possibly get hurt. I think that's where the guys of MMA or UFC need to be like, man, is it really worth it to do that when we should be putting that hype machine money down behind somebody where we can make ourselves a mega fight?
I get
Um, but it's I mean, you're right. It's been historically done through all the boxing. They always did it in boxing the same way. They'll let a guy get so old and start to fight these young guys until he does have situations where it's a long-term effect on his life, and also it's a dangerous situation
you. Yeah.
as far as it's concerned. So I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest UFC fan, so guys, please don't crucify me on that. But I just think there needs to be there needs to be some kind of either ruling or balancing, or they need to make sure they make sure they get him right if they're going to let him get back in the ring.
Yeah,
Sure.
your Twitter about to be blowing up with
Yeah, man.
all kind of hate tweets and everything. You know,
I
hashtag.
hope not, man. Yeah, they ain't gonna like that, but I mean, I go. It's all good. I can take the heat if it's
Hey,
coming.
it's all right. So
Yeah.
we was talking about old folks, kind of.
Hmm.
Old folks out there probably doing some things probably longer than the majority of folks think that they should be. However, there's one dude who is
The
maybe
goat.
over the age of probably being effective, but he doesn't read that book. He hadn't read that book.
No, man. That
Tom Brady
Tom
today.
Brady is the. I mean, I it's hard to say he's not the greatest. You know what? It's hard to say he's not the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. I mean, he's about to have 10 appearances in the Super Bowl. Think about this. We're Phillip Rivers just retired.
Yeah,
Peyton Manning retired a couple of years ago. Eli Manning retired a couple of years ago. Drew Brees is about to retire.
yeah, Drew Brees. Oh man, that was so sad. I mean,
These these guys, I mean, I don't think people realize how great Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers and those guys are. And Peyton Manning was great. Brady's not only outlasted them in playing and defeated them, he's going on another Super Bowl and will be competing again for another Super Bowl next year.
brand new
So,
team, brand new
it,
coach, brand new system, right? So it
yeah,
wasn't just Belichick, right?
no, well, I'll slow down on that. It's not Belichick, but the system is not too more far different from what Belichick ran. He
Okay.
ran verticals and he runs verticals and he runs guys up under and
Well,
Brady's
and
able to
well,
see.
Arians is just letting Brady do, and he's been quoted as saying it too. Look,
Yeah.
every once in a while he'll just close the playbook and just say, Don, do what you need to do. You're out there. You've been here before. Take us with.
Yes.
So
Yes. And I mean, and again, I think don't get me wrong. Belichick's to me, Belichick's probably the greatest coach ever. One of the greatest coaches
yeah,
ever. He's definitely on my Mount Rushmore as
yeah,
coaches.
yeah, I'm a fan of his.
Um,
So yeah,
Yeah, but I believe Brady, them giving Brady the keys to the car and say drive is what's made that team kind of go because now he's able to call the things that he feels comfortable with doing. He's getting to. And let's be real, he doesn't know all of his receivers. He doesn't know them all yet. He's
hmm,
only been with those guys for a year,
true.
so he doesn't know them as good as. And for him to have them excel and be at the position they are in right now, to be competing in the Super Bowl, man, that just speaks volumes. And I'm not talking about his play on the field. I'm talking about his leadership. I'm
Yes.
talking about his communication. I'm talking about the way he handles himself. I mean, those dudes is following that guy, and that guy's he's got greatness written all over him. So, man,
I
go. I
noticed.
mean,
See, we're talking about a common trait when we talk about the Hank Aaron's, the Kobe Bryant's, the LeBron Jameses, the Drew Breeses, the Tom Brady's. they really put that time in for the work. They understand the process. They know the playbooks forward and backwards. I mean, they put in that effort every single
Yes.
day,
Yeah.
practice and at games, and they stand straight when they come out there, and they exude confidence. It's not cockiness.
No.
It's confidence, and it's just awareness of all the situations, and that's who you want under center. That's who you want leading the fast break. That's who you want.
Yeah.
Bat and clean up. Going out there
Yeah.
at the basics.
You you
Those
you
are the
you
folks that you want.
you want a guy that is. I want a guy just right there, that borderline cockiness and
Mhm.
confidence, that is willing to take that shot, that is willing to make that basket, that is willing to swing that bat, that is willing to pitch that hard pitch. They feel they're so confident in themselves. They're confident enough to fail, and I don't think people get that concept enough.
Yeah,
They
because
are
today's
confident
game.
enough
So
to
because today's game actually was a little sloppy. He had
yeah,
three interceptions
three
in this game.
receptions.
Right.
You're confident enough to fail, and a lot of people aren't confident enough to fail. People want to get to a situation where they could possibly fail, throw the ball away, they give the ball up. They don't want to be. They don't want to be a part of that failure part.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are confident enough to fail, and I think that's a trait that a lot of people don't have. I mean, including ourselves. We're not confident enough to fail because we don't want to fail at work. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation we're getting, because what comes with failure, there comes consequence.
Yeah.
People don't want to deal with those consequences. But those guys that are over the top, and luckily it's in sports, they are confident enough to fail. And when they fail, they learn from it, they thrive from it, they feel from it, and they go in the next time and they go in and they're willing to prove people wrong that it's not failure. I
Yeah.
think that's the one attribute that the Tom Brady's and all the great ones have. They're confident. They're confident enough to fail in order to become successful in the long run.
And I wonder, can that be taught, or do you think that that's something innate? Now, again, he was drafted number 199. Nobody wanted Brady when he came out of school.
I think it's something that you develop. I don't know if it's taught,
Yeah.
but I think it's definitely something you develop, because success starts to bring more success. And how do you become more successful? You know what? Hey, I failed. I think that one poster that has Michael Jordan on there, he says he missed 1,000,000 free throws, or he
Mhm.
missed 20,000 game-winning shots, and he missed all these things. He's had all these failures that drove him to be successful.
Right.
But the thing is, he wasn't afraid to fail.
True.
He wasn't afraid to take that last shot. He
Mhm.
wasn't afraid to bring the ball down and have that turnover. He wasn't afraid to do those things. And then those things, what has ended up happening, it started when success started happening. He's like, I've been here before. Now I know what the bad end is, and now I know what the good end is. I
Yeah.
think Brady's the same thing. I've been in so many situations, been going out to 10 Super Bowls. I know what it feels like to fail, and I don't want that feeling no more. And I know what it does to be successful. So I'm going to do everything to lead my team to be successful
That's
and
true.
continue to be that way.
I
So
mean,
I think it's something that's taught.
yeah.
It's definitely something that's gradually taught in great players, and you see it in young guys that are coming up. They missed a winning shot. Dang.
Yeah.
You see the ones that come back the next game, they score 2 or 3 points. They're not as effective. But then you see the ones that come back the next game and they're driving even harder. They're trying to be even better than they were yesterday game to make sure they get the win. So I think it's just something that's a gradually taught process. But I do believe not everyone has that attitude. Not everyone has that mannerism. Not everyone has that character to be able to drive that way, to do it.
Yeah. Because I always say, and I always feel, and and this is just how I can't motivate you. You have to have that internally of yourself to be motivated and to be driven and be passionate and things like that. I can give you the keys, I can show you the tools and all that, but if you don't take those, I can teach you. I can take you to the water. I can give you a fishing pole. I can teach you how to do it, right? But if you don't actually take the initiative, throw the line in the water, and go through the process in and of it yourself, fail, succeed, and understand what makes you better.
You don't eat. Can't
You
eat.
don't eat. Right?
You don't eat.
And in these competitive leagues right now, you don't eat, you don't play, you get pulled down to the G League, or you get sent home, whatever the case
Yeah,
may be.
yeah.
It's no joke, because it's business. It's not just
And you know what? It is because
business.
because there's someone right behind you that's just as hungry, that
Hungry.
still wants that opportunity to fail, just like the same way you got the opportunity. And I'm not saying success. Everyone always talk about the success part. Remember, all those dudes are professional athletes. They are the best of the best. That's why they're there. So success has come to all these guys all their lives. Now it's when you're one amongst the best and the best, who's afraid to fail and learn from that failure in order to be more successful in the long run.
Yeah.
Those are the different attributes. And the way you learn from is now, oh, I got to study film because they got me last time. I got to make sure I know everything they're doing. So next time they don't get me. Or, you know what, I got to be able to get quicker, or I got to get stronger because, man, they beat my body up last time before I did. Those, I think, are the attributes that no one really talks about. But those are the serious attributes that I think those great ones have that separates them from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, and I think, and a lot of it is mental because I mean, because you
Mm.
talk about the body and you talk about hitting the gym. I mean, when you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at a Tom Brady, you look at Patrick Mahomes, they don't look like they spend a lot of time in the day in the gym, right? I mean, but you know what? They spend it. They are conditioned. They got the athleticism, but they're not out there just trying to get that highest bench, or they're not out there trying to get the biggest squat, or
Yeah,
whatever the case may be. But they've got that mental aspect as well.
and they're on a regimen. You hit it right. They're on a regimen. They're on a constant regimen to be successful. My diet's a regimen. The way I lift, the way I work out is a regimen. The way I approach and the way I study the game is a regimen. The way I prepare is a regimen. I think those guys have set regimens and they don't break it for anything. They go into the things. They go into doing those things great every time they do them and be successful. You're absolutely right. They're not the biggest guys in the world because they're not looking at that. But also, let's be honest. Their job doesn't require you to be like that.
True.
You know what I'm saying? If their job required them to be like that, then I'm sure they would be that way. But
Yeah,
their
they can't
job,
be
their
big like
job,
Lamar, right? Because
yeah,
Lamar has got some size on him. He can
yeah,
take somebody down if he
yeah,
wants.
yeah. Those guys' jobs, they're not required to be that way, so they're not that way. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I bet you their regimen is second to none.
Yeah.
And we can tell you, and I can tell you the differences. Tom Brady went to a new team without Belichick, right? Look at the successful he had because he's doing everything and he had the pieces around him.
Yeah.
No, he didn't have all the right pieces, but he didn't have nowhere near success. Cam Newton. Cam Newton went from a new team to what's the name, and Cam Newton's historically not having a good regimen or a good background when it comes out. He's always dependent just on his athleticism and not the playbook and working on his craft that's strong.
Hmm.
So there's two guys, and I'm a big fan of Cam, but it is what it is. Cam's not the guy that he's not that kind of guy
True.
where Brady can maneuver around and do everything he needs to do. His regimen is impeccable. Cam's is not as impeccable, and you can see the success factor.
Well, there's going to be a lot of open positions next season because we winding down the year so far. We already know who's going to be playing. Shouts out to Tampa Bay. They're going to be hosting the Super Bowl on February the 7th. We're trying to see if looks like these Chiefs may be the ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's 38-15 right now against them Bills. The Bills, that was a long shot.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Don't,
Story.
Bill,
Look,
Bills can't take nothing away. You can't take nothing away from Bills and Cleveland. I think are the next two teams up that's going to be competing real hard, along with Kansas City. As long as Kansas City got Mahomes, they always going to be a factor as for the next couple of years. But I believe Kansas City, the Cleveland Browns, and the Buffalo Bills are a couple of teams that are here to stay, and going to be somebody that's going to be constantly in the playoffs. Why everyone else now is starting the rebuilding processes. The great teams are starting the rebuilding processes. I think we're not going to have. I think Kansas City's going to be around for a while, but everybody, it's not going to be where they can run that 10, 7, 8, 10-year run like they before. They can always be in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a higher turnover, like teams that make it for 6 years, 7 years, and then that's when they got to start rebuilding, and the fall off process kind of starts to happen.
yeah.
I think, like I said, Cleveland and Buffalo is here to stay. Kansas City, as long as Mahomes is healthy and they stay healthy, they're going to be here to stay in the AFC part. And then I think it's going to be some drastically changes, like you said. I think a Breeze is tires from New Orleans Saints, and Michael Thomas is now going into surgery and doing. What are they going to be looking like next year? I mean, I love Sean Payton as a coach, but I'm not quite sure how that dynamic even works out right there. We already know what Belichick is able to do. Well, let's Belichick get the quarterback that he wants, and let's see what happens there. Does does a change into the guard or make them improve? Miami's got probably one of the most awesome defenses in the NFL. They got to get
Mhm.
their offensive straight. Tua's there. They got some pieces to build around. I think, man, you got a lot of things that's going to happen in the NFL coming up this offseason that is just as exciting as going to happen on February 7th.
I mean, you already broke some news to me. Like I said, I guess my phone wasn't giving my updates on my Steelers.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize Haskins is now from Washington to Pittsburgh. So you think about that dynamic of Big Ben now having someone else competing for the starting position. You think about the fact that uh, the Packers right?
Mhm.
They drafted first round quarterback. So
Yep, Love. Yep,
I
Love from
mean,
Utah State. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So Aaron was he was thinking about that. He'll say that he wasn't concerned or probably wasn't thinking about
yeah.
it, but he was thinking about that. Like, okay, so this is what y'all gonna do to me, right? So
Mhm.
those are the kinds of dynamics I think that you're saying are going to be changing at those critical positions. Uh,
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because it's funny Aaron is acting that way because Brett Favre acted the same way when they drafted Aaron, which
yeah,
is funny, which is kind of ironic. You know, we look 12 years later, it's like you. That's what Brett said about you when you came into the
your
league, and now you're
word.
saying it's about Love. So that's kind of ironic. I always laugh about that, but I do believe, like you said, in the Pittsburgh situation with them drafting Haskins, it's going to be interesting because I'm not. I mean, Ben's been pretty quiet after the playoff loss,
Yeah,
you know, and we all know Ben can still throw the ball a lot, but the game is starting to speed up for him. Getting too fast for him at some points, at critical points. I don't know if he comes back, man. I think this is the one year more so than any of those other years when he was talking about retiring. This is the one year he has to sit back and analyze, like, do I really want to do this again? Because if I do mess up, before there was no backup.
right.
Now I have a guy that they're grooming to be to take over for me. That's
Yep.
why they got him for this one year to see if he can actually even beat me out. So what happens now? I think now the question is, do I want to go into training camp and compete against this guy? And if he does beat me out, am I a player or adult enough to take the backup role? Whoever thought Ben Roethlisberger would be a backup role,
Yeah,
and I can't see it.
yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what's
That
going to
even
happen.
sound right coming out your mouth right there.
Yeah, man.
That
To be honest with you, I think no disrespect to Ben, but I think from a business aspect, they might waive him. It
yeah,
just it does right now at this point. If you're not going to go with him as your starting quarterback and going with him as your future, it doesn't make any sense for the front office to keep Ben on payroll because he's not going to humble himself to be the backup quarterback. And if you want to move forward, Haskins has to get on page with the Juju and the rest of the receiving core and get himself right to be able to do that. Be the guy. I know they only signed Haskins for 1 year, but I think he's the guy that they kind of typically want to be able to take over the franchise. And he has the skill set. He just had whatever was going on in Washington just wasn't working for him.
yeah.
Hopefully, Tomlin can turn that around and get him right. And if he gets him right, I think it's going to get crazy in Pittsburgh. It can almost be a distraction because the locker room is going to be
Yeah,
divided. Who wants to go with Ben? Who wants to go with
yeah,
Haskins?
yeah.
So
What team you with? Who you riding with?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. So I'm not sure, man. That's gonna be a rough call, but I wouldn't be surprised if they waived Ben right before the draft. It wouldn't shock me at all.
So much is happening. I mean, we talk a lot of NFL just because it's still going on, and because
Hmm.
that's it's front of mind. So not just the players. We talk constantly too about who's getting into leadership roles and leadership positions, and wish there was a little more uh, diversity, a little more selection. Within that. I think all the major sports, right? Again, you look
Yeah,
at football, you look at baseball, you look at uh, whatever hockey, whatever the sport
yeah,
is. I mean, we just need to make it more of a melting pot and more of giving everyone a shot and an opportunity at some of those key and critical roles.
yeah. I'm with you, especially at the head coaching role, which has been the hot topic,
Yeah,
obviously with all the news.
yeah,
Um, and it's funny, all those jobs were open, and they gave every excuse why they weren't hiring African Americans. The Atlanta job, the Detroit job, the Jets job. They kind of gave all their dynamic and spew why they didn't want to. It looks like Texas is going to hire an African American coach. I know they still have an interview again, I believe, with Todd Bowles and with Eric Bieniemy. As soon as they get a break, they got their second interview coming up. But we also know that there was four candidates. Man, Byron Leftwich is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. Who's offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles is also the defensive coordinator. And we know Eric Bieniemy over there at Kansas City's office coordinator, and then you have Leslie Frazier. All these guys are dynamic guys that deserve the right to be head coaches.
yeah,
I can't say some of those coaches that get hired deserve the right to be head coaches because they haven't put in the legwork that some of these gentlemen have in order to be there. And for the NFL not to give these guys, or some of these franchises not to give these guys an interview, is like a slap in the face. I mean,
yeah.
I love
At
Urban.
least, like I said, at least an interview, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least,
Urban Meyer, man, I have nothing against Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is probably one of the greatest college
Mhm,
coaches
mhm.
ever. But we've seen with great college coaches when they do come to the NFL, they're not as successful. Nick
Hey,
Saban.
hey, I'm
When
about to say Saban came up,
Yeah,
right? And
Sammy came into the Miami Dolphins, and he
he
couldn't handle
said,
it.
"Man, I need to go back
Yeah,
to Alabama, and so I
yeah,
can get more of these rings."
yeah. So just because you're successful in college doesn't necessarily is going to transcend over to the pros. Now Harbaugh did it, but that window expired as well. And he's having a tough transitioning back down. Um, I just don't. I mean, don't. Urban Meyer may or may not have deserved the opportunity, but so have these guys. These guys have earned the opportunity as well. So I think I would wish Jacksonville would have gave them at least the opportunity to interview and go for it. I wish Detroit definitely would have gave those guys the opportunity to go ahead and go for it. I wish Philly's another funny situation with them hiring the new coach. I heard that I was watching the special that Deuce Staley, the longtime Eagle that played there and was a coach there, was the team favorite. Everybody in the team wanted him to become the head coach. Um, Obviously, the head of the organization wanted to go a different way, and now Deuce wants to be removed from the team. He doesn't want to. He wants to be let go of his contract as a coach there, and then no longer wants to participate there. So I think there's definitely struggle somewhere in the NFL. Um, and I'm not in that intertwining, so I don't know. But there's some type of power struggle about giving African Americans, or men of color an opportunity to coach. I mean, I love that Ron Rivera is a coach over in
Mhm.
Washington D.C. I love
Yeah.
that Tomlin's a head coach. Those are great. Those are great opportunities. But when you have rosters that are made up of men of color that are 80% of men of color, I'm not quite sure why we can't lead. Why they don't feel comfortable to lead. They like us being these DCs and these OCs, but they don't want us in positions to lead these organizations and these teams. And when you do that, I agree. I think you should hold us to the same standard as everybody else.
Oh, definitely,
But you should,
definitely.
but you should give us an opportunity to do it and let us present our resume just like we present someone else, and take off the color blinders and say, hey, is this the best person or the best fit for my organization?
That's true.
And if that's not, if he's not, then that's different. But to not give a person an interview, then you'll never know if they were or they weren't.
That's true.
And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the phone interview. I don't understand why you could fly some guys in. I mean, one of the guys, I think the Detroit head coach, the guy that got the Detroit job, it was the Detroit or Philly job. He's never been a head coach. He's been a quarterback coach. So how's a quarterback coach more qualified than an OC?
I always think about the whole Spoelstra thing, right? Again, coming from the film room, and then
Yeah.
now he's the head coach. I mean, again, that's someone again who completely removed from a lot of the real dynamics, I think, of the game. But he came had a little bit of
Yeah.
success because he had a couple of good decent players,
Mm-hmm.
and he made that happen. But again, you're right. There needs to be more of an equitable decision making process and just qualification process. Again, let us put the suit on and come in the room and draw on the whiteboard and and tell you
Yeah.
what our scheme is, what our
a-
plan
a-
is. And
Absolutely.
I think it's coming, and I think that kind of goes back to kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier. A lot of these athletes, the ones that are in position, the ones that are in vocal power, are using that platform that we've talked about and saying, this needs to change. This needs to be adjusted. We need to open up the Rolodex and find some of these other folks who have these types of skills and things like that. So I think it's going to be folks like us having these conversations, having these awkward conversations, and also the folks that are actually out there on the field, out there on the court, out there on the diamond would eventually be playing for these coaches that are
Mhm.
speaking up as well. So
But you're hitting it right on the head. I think that trickles down though, because we're still having the same thing in college coaches. There's not a lot of African American head coaches at the collegiate level. There's just not. And if you go to grand scheme of high school, same thing. There's not a lot of African American head
yeah,
coaches across the board. So this is something that's kind of it. I don't know where the mirror comes from or why it's like that or why the imagery is like that.
yeah,
Um, and I know, and yes, if you're not qualified, that's different. That's a different. If you're not qualified, obviously you don't get the job. But you can't tell me that Eric Bieniemy, who's now going to a second Super Bowl, as the
mhm.
OC of Kansas City and's been successful everywhere he stopped at, is not qualified to be a coach. When you take a quarterback coach that wasn't very successful and now he's a head coach.
Yeah.
So when you have those cross dynamics that don't match, that's what comes into question. No, hey, if you got a guy that's just as qualified as Eric Bieniemy and he happens to be white, by all means, if you feel comfortable with him, then you hire him.
There you go. Yeah,
I get it. I get it. But if the resumes don't match and you hire someone with a lesser resume and you
you
didn't
got
even get the person with a
complaining.
better resume the opportunity, then what are we else? What else are we supposed to question?
Yeah.
What is the issue? This guy's his resume doesn't weigh to this guy's resume. This guy's winning. This guy's winning. Everything is the same except the resume is different. This guy's just resume is more beefier, but he can't get an interview and he gets hired. That's where I think we have a problem, and that's where you hear the screams and cries from men of color or fans of color saying, "Why aren't we getting the
Yeah.
opportunity to become head coaches?" And I think that people don't understand that dynamic. They think, "Oh, they just want more black coaches, or they're just crying." No, I'm saying if the if the resumes don't match, and someone's is better, then that one's is better should go up to the top, regardless of what their skin color is, and
Exactly.
regardless of what gender they are. That should go up top. Let's interview this person. Now, if there's you don't, it doesn't fit, culturally, he doesn't fit our culture, or he doesn't run the scheme that we want to run, then express that. But you can't just go say, "Hey, we're going to take this guy in over you, and we're going to dismay you."
Yeah.
That defeats the whole thing for what the NFL was trying to put in place to make sure people of color had an opportunity to be able to coach in their organization.
We let's keep talking about it. Let's keep bringing in folks
Yeah,
who are in those boardrooms who can answer those questions, because they need to be accountable for that. But again, you're right, and I think it's too slow, but it's moving in
hmm
that direction, right?
yeah,
Again, it's moving at the snail's pace. It's not at the pace that we would like it to, but there is momentum. Let's
yeah,
just
yeah. Oh, no, there's
let's just
change,
keep that
man. Oh, don't
snowball
get me
going.
wrong. Well, yeah, there's change because if it was, back in the day, we didn't have anybody anywhere. So we're definitely making progress. I mean, I don't want to halt the progress at all. I mean, we're here having our candid conversations that we're
Yeah,
supposed to, and people listen to. I'm just saying candidly, we would like the process to be a little bit speedier. And I salute the Texans. The Texans look like they're going to go in that direction. At least give those guys the interview to see if they're the right fit for their organization, and then we'll have one more in the league, and it'll be another good representation, and hopefully he has success though to generate more for them to trust more African Americans at the helm.
that's true. That's true. We definitely talk about, again, the scores. We
Hmm
talk about the teams, the different dynamics of that. But again, one of the hallmarks of this show is really talking about the social impact of sport. So
hmm
that really kind of brings into this statement here, that was asked to us on YouTube. Why do the Bills stay in the locker room during the national anthem? And that there are two teams that still do that from the NFL's perspective, right? The
hmm
Bills and the Jets have chosen this season that to be their stance towards social
Social.
injustice.
Hmm
And it's a weird catch-22, right? I mean, because again, you think about folks who are military families,
Wait,
military
wait,
parents.
before you go there,
Okay,
how is it the catch 22? How's it catch 22 when the people that just stormed the White House was talking about for their freedom of speech and their rights,
that's
the
where I
right
was
to do what
going.
they want to
That's
do?
where I was going,
So,
brother.
oh, okay. So why if these guys don't want to come out, or they choose as a team not to come out and not show any disrespect to the national anthem,
Yeah.
or they don't want fans to feel they're being disrespectful to the flag or the national anthem, so they choose to stay in and they come out and do their warm ups. I don't see anything wrong with that collectively. It's not a disrespect to the country. No one, the protest and everything is not even about the flag or the song, but it does show that they have solidarity towards something that are injustices within our communities, and that those need to be addressed, and someone needs to say something, and they're using their platform, like you said, to do it. So, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother Hicks.
No,
I did, I did, I did, but I don't know why someone would say, "Well, why are they staying in there?" Well, why did you storm the White House? But you know why? Because they felt that was their right to do, right, wrong, or indifferent. Now, me personally, I'll talk about my personal feelings on the NFL. I think the NFL, once they realized it was a wrong thing that was going on, like, yes, we are also against social injustices and police brutality. I think they should have said, you know what, Colin Kaepernick, why don't you be our spokesperson because you have the knowledge about doing this? The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Mm,
That is a marketing campaign will cost them hardly nothing. They have all the NFL people that would be willing to speak for that and have these campaigns not only on their stadium platforms, but also they will go on commercials as well to say we stand behind the social injustices. If anybody on this platform that's listening to this that does like social injustice, you can kiss my black twice and get on off. I can care less. But if we're all on the same page and that police brutality is wrong, the social injustice is wrong. Things need to be corrected in the correctional system to make sure these things are addressed. Then I don't see any reason why not bringing awareness to that. That's important that we bring awareness, just like we're bringing awareness to anything else that's wrong.
Now, see, I was gonna come at it from the right field. You came at it from the left field. We were gonna meet in the middle, but you had the passion there, and it's all good. I was also shouting out the person who left that message because I believe that's the elder right there. I believe that's Brother James Hicks Senior.
Oh
Uh,
man,
and
salute.
and we need to fix his YouTube address there. You know, you just giving away the year of birth and everything. So we need to fix that. After I get off this show, we're gonna fix that. But no,
Yeah.
Brother Mont, I completely agree with you, right? I mean, there in terms of awareness of injustice, using this here we go again, right? Using the
Hmm.
platform to bring awareness to it. I don't think it's too late for the NFL to do right by Colin. Now,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's too late for them to do right by him. I don't know if he wants to I don't know if he wants to mess with him anymore though.
But what do you mean by do right? You mean opportunity to play or opportunity to send a message?
Both. Because that's how you do right by him, right? I mean, fully acknowledge what he was saying and fully communicate the understanding of what he was doing and why he was doing it. Right?
I would give you two folds on that, and I think it's too late for him to play. I don't think Colin Kaepernick. I don't think one they will give him an opportunity. That's number one, and two, I don't think there's a platform for him now to play. He had a small window that he didn't want to take advantage of when he had a chance to play.
When he did that tryout for
Yeah, he said he didn't want to. He wanted to compete for a starting job, and
yeah.
those things, and that's his pride kicking in because he's an ex NFL guy. I get it, but I don't think there's a platform to play now for that. And don't get me wrong, I think Colin Kaepernick's still a great quarterback, but let's be honest with you, Father Time has kicked in. It's been 3 years now, 4 years. They're not playing competitive at the professional level. It's way removed. You're not going to be able to just step in 3 years not playing professional football and say, hey, you know what, I'm the man, I can start. Doesn't work that way.
I don't know if he can start, and I'm and
I think he can compete. He can compete, but I don't know if there's a place for him to play. I mean, at this point, if you bring him on to be on the bench, again, what is that? I mean, okay, you got a chance to be on a team. Is that all you want to be? Because that's not what you wanted to be 3 years ago or 2 years ago. You wanted to be able to be in a position to compete and be a starter and have your opportunity to be a starter. I think being removed from the game 3 years is really, especially for a quarterback, for you to be able to come back in the field and say, you know what, I want to be. I'm at the top of my game where I can compete for a starting job. He can prove me wrong. I just don't. That the odds are not there. Now, I do believe the NFL is not too late to address his message.
Mm-hmm.
And get his message, convey his message across what he was trying to do, and work with Colin to be able to express that and apologize for Colin and what they did was wrong. Yes, you blackballed him just because he wanted to take a stance on something that was right. That's the crazy part. It wasn't like he was doing something wrong. He was saying something wrong. He was doing something that was right to be able to take a stance. So I think there's time for that. I do believe there's time for that. There's still time for them to correct that.
And will it happen? Maybe. Will he accept? That's a side question as well. I mean, will the situation be right again? I don't know if he's going to come and start for, I don't know, the Rams or start for the Raiders, whoever the case may be. But is a symbolic gesture good enough, or does that make the wrong right? Don't know, right? Again, I don't know.
That's something, but that's up to him to debate that and figure that out if that'll be a right situation for him to come in. I mean, they did. Let's be honest, the NFL paid him off. They gave him a settlement for him, so he's money's not the issue. I don't think money's the issue. I think Colin's living pretty good as far as his financially is concerned. I think the strong suit or the great point would be if he can work with the NFL to drive his message home and use that platform to bring awareness. I really do. I think that would be the biggest win for everybody.
Yeah.
More so than him playing. I know him playing is a personal thing, in which I get it, but I think his message is a global message that should be enforced. That's the right message, to be honest with you.
So it's almost like he's having more impact now, being
man,
free agent, right? Completely.
Yeah. I think the brother.
Untethered.
His man. I mean, I was watching the Skip and Shannon Sharp was like, Colin Kaepernick's stand on the NFL will be impactful for decades.
Yeah,
His play would only been impactful for a few years.
true, true.
So I think if he can somehow work with them to get his message across, because the NFL reaches mass millions, and have them work with him in delivering his message about, you know what, we want to get rid of social injustice, and have the NFL honestly just apologize, like, man, we were wrong. We were wrong in what we did. We didn't understand what was really going on, because, let's be honest, 32 billionaires don't go through the same thing that
Hmm.
we go through in South Central Los Angeles or East Oakland or South Sacramento. They don't even understand what those issues are about. So they're very disconnected, just like our old president, very disconnected.
Yeah.
So I hope for the NFL says, let's get connected and deliver that message.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know if your boy Jerry Jones has ever eaten at a a all you can eat buffet or he
Jerry
don't know
Jones ain't
about
having no
he don't know
chicken and
about
waffles. He ain't going
I'm
down to
about to
get no
say
chicken and waffles.
he don't know about the two piece at Popeyes, right? He may have heard about it, but I'm not sure he
Yeah,
knows about the two piece. You
yeah.
know,
Jerry ain't eating at the Waffle House or going
no,
down.
he the
Going.
man. Love
Yeah,
me
he
some
ain't
Waffle
going.
House, boy. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, he's not going down to them places, man. He don't know nothing about the Jim Boy tacos and all that, and the taco shops and saying he don't know nothing about that. But I mean, they're so disconnected with what's really going on in society, because they're so wealthy. I kind of understand, if it doesn't affect you, you really don't worry about it. But the thing is, it affects most of your employees,
Yeah,
because most of your employees that are on the field are 80% of color.
yeah, yeah.
So you should be sensitive to
Have to
what's
be.
going on with your employees, and
Have
that's how you have success. And I think the NFL has failed on that part.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So much is going on. We got a response. Thank you for thanks for the appropriate response. Yes, sir. We talking and taking the sensitive issues. I was trying to answer, but Montell, he stood up straight in his chair and wanted to answer. So I let him go ahead, and like I said, we ended up in the same place. Either way. I mean. Uh, you got to be vocal and you got to do it the right way. You got to be respectful, but you know what? You still have to. You can't be silent when it comes to injustice uh, in any form.
Yeah,
In any form. So that's what's happening with the Jets and the Bills. Will that continue through next season, or will other teams do something in terms of solidarity? Or even other sports, right? I mean, because
yeah.
again, this is not just football. This is again, it's just we had so many negative things that have stirred the pot with 45, and now we got some ugly heads out there that have been reared. How do these organized organizations like sports really help to try to bring community and bring society back together? Is it by making those stances more than
I,
just an athlete?
yeah, yeah,
More
yeah.
than logos and more than shirts and
Yeah,
hashtags, right? But just action. So
I think COVID has kind of put the blinders on to the cause.
mm,
For a lot of people more, COVID has taken the forefront, dealing with the pandemic and dealing with the vaccination and all that stuff. So it has taken a lot of the shine away from the causes, from BLM, Black Lives Matter, from everything. It has, because it's kind of just taken over the world. I do believe that hopefully that we can come back once we get this thing under control, and we can start to revisit a lot of these things, and look at them from a different lens, since we already been there.
mhm.
I'm hoping that organizations and special sports organizations will allow athletes to use their platform, or partner with them on a platform, to be able to express the message of, well, what's right. Forget all the other stuff. Well, what's right? What's the right thing to do? It's not right. The actions of some are just not right. Police brutality is not right. It's something that's prevalent in a lot of urban communities, and people do nothing about it. I mean, we just saw on the news. I don't know if people caught it globally, but there were just some young men that were arrested in Target wrongfully, because someone said that they stole something, or one of the workers said they stole something, and a security guard roughly arrested them. That racial profiling stuff needs to end, because that's not right. That's the wrong thing to do. Young
Mhm.
men had nothing to do with it. And now these young men are traumatized for the rest of their lives, being out in they were on their way to college and doing their thing. So I believe, man, we just need to start correcting some of the wrongs, and I think, and apologize for them. I don't think we get enough apology for when people do things wrong. Just like that lady was accusing that young boy about taking his cell phone, and she left her
Yeah,
cell phone in her Uber.
man, that was yeah, man.
But I'm saying that, and she still hasn't apologized for it. I mean, you can imagine someone was coming to my 13-year-old son and saying he stole her phone, and she's trying to grab him and tackle him over something that she did wrong. I have a problem with that because she physically assaulted the young man. She's verbally assaulting the young man. She called the authorities on the young man when he wasn't wrong at all. And the authority at the hotel was kind of siding with her side, saying, turn on your phone and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I think that's something that we really got to, as a society, hopefully address and come to grips. But again, COVID is taking over. We don't hear about those stories as much, or if we hear about them, they go away really, really fast, and we focus more on the pandemic, which is rightfully so. But I know we have to revisit these situations to get them corrected.
Got to, man. Yeah, I was a little taken aback by you brought up about old girl and that story there. I don't want to go down that road because that's a show for a whole nother day and a whole nother time. But yeah, she definitely needed to be talked to.
But she ain't the only one. I mean, we always know Becky be at the barbecue accusing us of doing something, and people that, I mean, it just goes on and on. That she's just one instance, bro. She's just one instance to get caught on film. I think it happens a lot more than not.
Yeah.
And we gotta really address that. If they, you can't just go around accusing people because it's either convenient for you or they're just somebody that looks different than you, and that's the easiest person to point the finger at. And to me, her situation, that was convenient and the easiest person to point the finger at. And the fact that he had some kind of cell phone that was similar to hers, hey, he automatically took it. Well, no, you left it in the Uber car. It was your fault. You did it, and I'm glad they brought criminal charges on her. I really am, because you physically threatened this young man, and you're not. That's just 100% all the way wrong.
Young brother, I think, what was it, 11 years old, 13 years old. Again,
13 years old, man.
But young kid who no reason for it to get to that level of discord. So yeah.
Well, James, think about it. Whatever happened, like polite, like, young man, hey, I'm sorry, I lost my cell phone. I misplaced my cell phone. Did you see it, or do you know anything that happened to it? And matter of fact, to me, if it was a cell phone, why don't you just get on the other phone and call it, or it would have rang in his hand? Right? If you would have called your cell phone number, it would have rang in his hand, and be like, oh, you took my phone.
Yeah.
But no, you're not using common sense. You just want to go ahead and berate somebody on that, and instead of being polite and asking somebody and say, hey, I misplaced my cell phone. Have you seen it? Because if it was, maybe he might have just picked it because she dropped it.
Yeah.
Instead of you berating, talking about you stole my phone. So, man, I mean, it pisses me off because me and you, we both have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids will be in that world, and someone of another color or someone of the color can point their finger at them, and our kids will be arrested on some humbug. And we got to go prove ourselves to be right. Exactly. Instead of,
exactly.
we got to prove our innocence right then and there, and go through this whole process, which is blasphemy.
Which is terrible, and which is kind of the. You're right. We've got kids in this society, and we've raised them. We've had the various talks with them, and so they're aware of that. So, I appreciate the dialogue, brother. I appreciate the dialogue. Yeah, I mean that's a good topic, and again, we got to have the conversation, because if you sweep it under the rug, or if you don't have the dialogue about it, no one's ever going to get better. No one's ever going to move towards some positive progression. So
absolutely,
let's get back to sports right quick, though. This is let's get back to sports. So 2 minutes left. It's gonna be Tampa Bay versus Kansas City, because 38-24, and I can't see Mahomes giving up that lead with only that amount of time left.
Nah.
So Sunday, February the 7th, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, the game will be. I wish we were.
I wish we were.
I was I was covering the Super Bowl when it was in the Bay Area, when it was in Santa Clara.
Okay, yeah.
I was there the whole week ahead of time, covering it for the site, and being in that whole mess. So, man, that's a ball. Yeah, forget the folks playing. I'm there. I'm there. Just got my little badge on, credentials, walking around the floor, and Cam and everything. So it was pretty cool. So I think. I'm gonna be envious of that and reminiscing on the times that I had. I think that was 50. I think that was Super Bowl 50. Yeah, in
Hmm.
Santa Clara. Uh, couldn't get tickets for everyone because tickets were stupid expensive.
Yep, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Man,
Well,
hey, I got the best tickets in the house. It's called free on my 20 on my 50 inch, and I get instant replay along with commentary while I'm there.
yeah,
So I'm okay.
regardless of what the weather is, right? Too right. You're gonna be
Yeah,
in the house, with a drink in your hand and some potato
yeah,
chips
man.
and watching the game.
Watching it, man. I'll be enjoying it, man. I'm good for Mahomes, good for Brady. I think it's great for the game. I'm good for football. It should be a really good game. And if you're asking me to predict right now,
Don't do it.
I'll,
Don't
I'll
do
I'll
it.
call it. I'm gonna go with the young buck. I'm gonna go with Mahomes in Kansas City. I think Kansas City got something special, man. I think they're strong. As long as Mahomes is in there, man, they're strong. And I love Brady, and I love what Tampa Bay's doing. I just don't know if they can beat Kansas City.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I've told
Come
you
on, man, put it out
before.
there, man. Put it
No,
up,
no,
put it.
I'm gonna say,
No, you.
no. See, I've told you before. I'm a story guy, right? I love the
Uh huh.
story. I love that whole the agony of defeat and the thrill of it. Whatever that old ABC Sports thing was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just dated myself with that one.
Uh,
Man, if Brady can mess around and turn this 10th appearance with a brand new
mm,
team, with a brand new system, with a brand new everything, uh, win this game, and he's only got one dude that he's played. He's got Gronk, right? So I mean, so he's
uh-huh.
got his right hand man, and he only got
Yeah,
one target tonight. So I mean, it's not like he's relying
yeah,
on his old standby.
yeah.
If Antonio comes back and doesn't act a fool like he normally does when he's not playing, if
Uh-huh.
Michael Evans can come out there and run that, man, it's
Oh, they got. I mean, they got the pieces. Don't get me wrong. I
yeah,
mean, I think Tampa Bay's got everything that you need to win it all. I'm gonna go with youth on this one just a little bit. I think Mahomes and
yeah,
Tyreek Hill and them is gonna put a lot of pressure on
yeah.
that offense and put points on the board fast and early. That makes Brady's gonna have to come behind. Now
Yeah.
that even makes more of a compelling story. Because Brady comes behind and wins it, it's
At the
gonna
last
just
few
be
minutes, when
yeah,
them
yeah, yeah, yeah,
minutes.
man. I
So
mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna say I'm rooting for Tampa Bay.
that's it. No, don't add no.
No, I'm saying I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, but you got Mahomes, who's a multi-sport threat, and he can throw sidearm better than he can throw
Yeah,
regular overhand. Right, so
yeah, yeah,
he can throw circus passes.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
gonna be really tough. So I think it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be a tight game. I'll say that. So
I'm a
I am
if
going for
Tom,
Brady. I think if Mahomes cuts loose, it's
yeah,
gonna be 40 some to
uh-huh,
19. It's gonna get ugly. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I feel.
I'm
I'll put it there. So I'm right in the
I'm
middle.
a I'm gonna be doing the Spike Lee in school days, the gamified gamma. Tom Brady winning. I'm gonna be doing the gamified gamma on him, talking about he's the GOAT, man. I'm at the do Big Brother Almighty.
Brother Almighty. You got some more of them D cell batteries from
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm at the
Radio
if Brady
Raheem.
pull if Brady pulls it off, man, it would be the biggest sports story in the last, definitely in the last year, but definitely something people are gonna be able to talk about forever if he's able to pull this off and,
Mhm.
and get them a Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
But I truly think Kansas City, they just man, it's just their time. I just can't. They're really hard. They're just hard to beat, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So we're gonna see, man. That's what they play the games for, right? That's why they play.
That's what I hear. That's what see. It's kind of hard now because I had teed up the the top 10 list that you had
Oh, my
last
my my,
week.
my guys that I like watching and the ones I like. Yeah, man.
But
You can put that up real quick. Just you want to do it
oh,
real quick?
we
Go
can
over real quick.
so we're gonna go from the NFL. We're gonna go back to the NBA, and this is how we're gonna close out this week. I mean, it was kind of tough to go from that climatic Super Bowl predictions. We didn't did our, our predictions of who we think is going to win. So let's take
Hmm.
let's take a look at this list here. You got some folks on this list, and I
Yeah,
I, I even left your ad libs in there. Your commentary.
yeah, man.
So
So
talk
this
about
is
this. Talk about
let's let everyone first of all. This is my favorite top 10 list. This is my personal opinion. Who I like. I know the Jerry West is in the world, and all those guys are great, great players, and all that stuff. and I know I've missed some guys that I think that are great, that are greats, but these are the guys I love watching, and I'll go from number 9 on up. Dame Lillard, he's number 10 because I got 2 at number 5, but Dame Lillard, guy's just amazing. I love watching him play from the Bay Area. Love his story coming from Weber State into the NBA, doing his thing. He could just ball, and he shows up in the big games.
Yep.
He plays in the big games, and he's great.
Hey,
Kyrie Irving.
Hey, no, wait a minute. Just released his shoes from his
He just dropped
big
some.
game
Yeah,
in
he
the
dropping.
hands.
Yeah, he dropping some shoes and rap albums and all that, man. So he multifaceted. I'm a Dame fan, for the culture. So he's doing this thing. Kyrie Irving,
Bad
um,
man.
man, bad man. He kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puff sometimes. He goes off on the thing, but as far as his basketball skill set, if you watch him on the court, man, he's a guy that I love to watch. He can isolate on anybody, go to the hole. Probably has arguably the best handles in the league.
Yep.
Him and Stevie Francis and Steph Curry kind of all come to mind. Who's got the better of the three? I'm not quite sure. Big fan, Sacramento guy, Kevin Johnson's got to be on my list. Super quick. My image always of him is dunking on Akeem. On the back part, man,
all 6 feet tall, right? I mean,
all 6 feet tall.
I've eaten at his restaurant, and I like stood up right next to Kevin. I said, "Man, you really are right at my height. And how did you get up that high?"
Brother man he was explosive. He had a lot of injuries during his career, so I don't think his numbers is everyone else. But watching KJ play, man, he was phenomenal. And he played in the era where everyone had really, really good point guards, so he had to be dominant at his size. Tim Hardaway, being in the Bay Area, being in Sacramento, watching the Run TMC, that that UTEP 2-step crossover he did, man, that crossover was probably arguably or probably the best crossover in basketball. Because for him to be that little and to get separation, his crossover was vicious.
That's true. Why are there no more cool squad names like that?
Right? I don't know, man. I think
Phi Slamma Gamma. Why are there no more cool?
Because it's all about the individual now. They give it all to the individual, so it's all good, man. I ain't mad at him. Guy grew up with Isaiah Thomas is number 5, and he's tied with Gary Payton as number 5. Both guys were very influential as far as that era of basketball is concerned. Isaiah in the beginning with the Bad Boys. Gary Payton took it to another level, being the glove, shutting everybody down, being that trash talker, being a dude that's from the Bay Area, coming from Oregon State, first as a rookie talking to trash to Michael Jordan, trying to shut it. I mean, all the things, everything he just did, just kind of embodied, us growing up from. And I always say Sacramento and the Bay Area. I know they're 2 different cities, and they don't, but they are cross pollinated and they represent each other in some form or fashion. So he was always a guy from the, kind of from the town. Jason Kidd, another guy from the Bay Area. Got to witness Jason Kidd when he played high school ball at Sacramento in the King Stadium in the championship to see how great he was then, and for him to go to Cal, then he led the Nets all the way to the championship. Arguably one of the best all-around players in basketball, period, as he played. Guy could do it all on the court. And then, the next dude, John Stockton, in my eyes, I don't care nobody said that dude got he doesn't look like he can play basketball. He doesn't look like he can dribble up.
But he can run the pick from the pick and roll though. He's a bad.
He lived off the pick and roll.
Them shorts that he was wearing was kind
of man.
Him and Malone got together.
Yeah, them shorts are suspect, but otherwise, man, the dude ran the pick and roll. I mean, you got to think they ran one play to make one man the all-time leading scorer and one person the all-time leading person in assists. Yep. One play, the pick and roll. And they led themselves to back-to-back championships. They lost, unfortunately, Michael Jordan. But, man, them dudes John Stockton was a beast.
Yes.
And anybody that played against him, and guys I know that played in the NBA, they was like, dude, he's incredible. Definitely. Doesn't talk trash, doesn't say nothing. Quiet on the court, just does what he is. He's the Gonzaga of the NBA. Don't talk trash, just good. This is just super good all day.
It just shows up.
Yeah. To me, the second best all-time point guard is Steph. Steph's changing the game.
Yeah.
Pure scorer. It's funny. People always talk about how great LeBron is and all that, but I don't see none of these kids emulating LeBron when they're on the basketball court. They're all shooting threes like Steph. Steph's transcended the game. When the game was dunking and doing all that stuff, he transcended where kids now want to play, want to shoot from the three. And now it's changed to all the games. Everybody wants to shoot more threes, more so than go to the hole and dunk on somebody.
Yep.
So I think he's a transcender, what am I saying? He's transcending as an athlete. And he doesn't get the credit he's supposed to do. And before it's all said and done, he'll be the best 3-point shooter ever
Yes.
that just ever played the game.
Well, he's he just
He's second now. He's second. He's only behind Ray Allen. Yeah.
And Reggie rolled up on him and kind of gave him a little hard time, Reggie Miller. But again, you see Steph when he's out there before the games, right? Just drills and getting that focus down.
Bruh,
again, there we go, talking about putting in that work.
I mean, who hits 131? I think 131 straight 3-pointers in practice.
Nobody but Steph Curry.
Nobody but Steph Curry does something like that. So, I'm a big Steph fan. I think he has that baby face. He's got the Kobe mentality in that small body, and that small frame of his. He can't dunk on people in like Kobe does, but if you give him a shot from anywhere from that 32 feet on out, as soon as he crosses that half court, you better guard him because he can shoot from anywhere on the court.
Literally, and it doesn't matter how much space you give him. You don't have to give him any space. Just give him half a foot, and he's gonna shoot.
Yeah, and the crazy part, it's not he's throwing the ball or he's throwing it to who. He's shooting the ball. Yeah. He's literally shooting the rock. So big fan of his. And then number one all-time favorite, man, and it's Magic, man. Magic just, I didn't appreciate him again when he played, but then as I saw the latter years and seeing how he played and see what he's done to the game and see the way he played the game, man, people think Westbrook does great things when he does a triple-double. Magic Johnson, man, was the greatest all-time. Somebody to be 6'8", 6'9", bring the ball up, gets 10 assists, 10 rebounds, and over 10 points a night. And not only that, he led the Lakers to 4 championships? 3 or 4 championships? And one of them he had to play center.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, you want to talk about GOATs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Michael Jordan's the greatest player I ever seen play. Me physically with my eyes. But, man, Magic Johnson got to be a close number 2 over LeBron. I mean, he changed the way the game. LeBron, see, this is my argument. LeBron's great. LeBron's probably the greatest athlete I've ever seen play basketball. To be 6'8", run like he does, and do the things he does. But on the basketball court, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, even Steph Curry, even Kevin Durant, they changed the way the game is being played. LeBron hasn't changed the game the way it's being played. He's perfected in the aspect of the way the game's played. He's really good with what it's been, but he hasn't changed the game. Magic changed the game from being you guys are standing around doing nothing to we run it, we gun it, we run and gun, we throwing an alley oop, we doing our thing. You go from him, you go to Michael Jordan. Hey, I changed the way the fashion, the way the game's played. I can isolate you. I'm dunking. I'm making everything change. Everybody want to be like me, Mike, because I'm the man. I'm the man. And now the game has changed it again to the 3-point game. LeBron didn't do that. Steph Curry did that.
That's true.
So how can you be the greatest of the GOAT if you didn't transcend the game? In my opinion. That's my take on it. LeBron lovers, don't hate me, don't bash me. Remember, it's just my list and my opinion only. I'm wrong. It's all good to me. In my opinion, it's not open for argument or debatable.
Let it be written. Let it be done. Period.
Yeah,
right?
That's me. That's just me. That's on me right there. So it's all
that. I ain't mad at you, brother. But your Twitter feed is gonna be blowing.
Oh yeah, man, they're gonna tear me on up, but it's all good, bro.
Your Twitter feed is going to be blowing. Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man. I think we did it again.
Yes,
we touched on current events. We talked about the game. We talked about the sport. But more importantly, I think again we talked about the social elements of sport and brought those questions and those conversations to bear. That's what separates us, right? Again, anybody can be out there talking about scores. It can be talking about the injury reports. It can be talking about who's this and who's that. But when you bring up some real dialogue or some real conversation to make people think, I mean that needs to happen more. And I'm glad that we're being a part of that conversation.
Yes,
so. We'll talk before Super Bowl. I don't know what else is happening before next Sunday, but I'm sure there'll be some sporting news.
Hey, if not, we'll make something in. We'll put something in there to go ahead.
I'm gonna go see how much these new Dame Lillard these kicks are gonna be, and see if I can get my son or something to buy his daddy some of these new shoes.
There you go. But no, I mean, there's gonna be a lot going on sports. Remember, the NBA still going on. We got, we still got. I mean, we never even touched on hockey. Plus the individual sports. Plus we got a lot of things going on, man. I really like the fact that we do touch on the social aspect and social things and the social climate and things that are going on in our communities across the United States, how sports intertwines with that. And I think the big thing we're going to be able to talk about next week is California. Are they going to allow these young men to play football? because the decision should be made sometime next week. So that should be a big topic we're going to discuss and figure out where we go there, and to let them play kind of movement that's going on, and how that dynamic is going to affect going all the way on up. How's it going to affect kids going to college and so forth and so forth.
There you go. And with that, brother, I think we got the next 3-4 weeks already planned out. I don't have to write any show notes because we came up with it right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, brother, be good to yourself. Take care, and I will talk to you in a couple of days. We'll keep us going. Everyone else, be
Absolutely.
good. Be safe to yourself.
Yes.